Hello everyone, welcome to a quick video on how to make an Astroneer vending machine version 2.0. So here's a small demo rig that I've wired up. It looks kinda complicated, but as we go on it'll be easier to understand. So let's just run it through. So this design has the benefits as being you can use any resource. That was with the previous design, but this design, super simple. It's pretty cheap in terms of resources, and you can select multiple items at once. So I'll just run that through. So let's say I want a organic and I want a packager, and let's just say I'll have 2 of each. So I'll run that through. Both auto arms start running. The system goes. I'm going to say one thing before we start off, and I'll go more in depth about it. If you there's a reset switch right here, but you can break the system by picking up an object right here, and then before all the objects have been placed. You have to wait until all of the objects have been placed, then you can pick them all up. If that happens, this light will turn on, telling you that you can press this button, and once it's off, that's all good. So my resources are all on here. I'll take them off. Let's just say for an example, I want to turn this organic into carbon, and I'll put these packagers in my inventory. It doesn't really matter. Now you can see that this light is off. So to begin, you'll start off with however many resources you want to do. For this example, I'm doing 5. So I'll have 5 different buttons and 5 different lights right here. Also, we need a power source. That will be right there. Now, what I first started off doing is I've wired all of the buttons to each of the lights. As you can see, this first wire right down here for the quartz goes to that light, and so on and so forth. Then we're going to pause on the wiring, and we're going to build this simple contraption. So we have 5 switches right here, and then we have 5 power sensors going off of them. And these are set to gained or lost. Note that. You also want one switch, it does just one, going into a platform. Now and then you want those platforms hooked up to all the switches that you have. Each switch, by the way, is 1 resource. So I think this, if I believe, is correct. So you've got my packager switch right here, which would be the first input. Alright, so the first input is my packager. Now, make sure when you're building this, do not wire power to these platforms. Wire it to the switch. Now you want to copy that, what I've just made, again with however many resources you want, and you want to do the same thing, but you want to make it power gained. Make sure that is power gained. So let's I guess begin into wiring. So first you want to wire each one of these buttons. I'll start off with my packager button, so I'll follow the wires. So the packager button goes down here, goes all the way over here, and activates the packager switch. So packager switch would be opened. So I'll just pre-select the packager switch right here. So as you can see, the packager switch will be opened, and none of the other switches are opened, nor this. Then you want to go all the way over. Again, this is the packager wire, and this switch should also be opened. Note, this switch should not be opened. Just kind of got to make sure of that first. Then once you want to wire that up for every single resource that you have, then you can move on to the next step. Once you have that done, you can take these power sensors on, I'm just going to name this the pre-select. So the pre-select system, you wire each power center or sensor to its individual, I guess, auto arm. So for example, my packager would wire all the way over to here, and this guy would activate the auto arm. Then over here is where things get a little bit complicated for my reset. So you take the reset. So again, I'm using my packager. I guess we'll just have packager go ground 0. You take the wire for the packager, and you want it to activate three things. First, you want it to switch itself off. So this sensor would trigger this switch, as you can see. You also want to trigger the switch for the pre-select too. So both of those have been triggered, and finally, you want to trigger the lights for the resource, just to give you a nice indicator light feel. Now, you want to pause right there. That's all the wiring you need to do for this. Note, at this point, you do not want any wires on this switch or this switch. Those guys will come in later. Now, we get to go to the hunky funky fun reset system. So over here is a diagram of how the switch is supposed to be. So first you want power, and you can build as many one of these as you want. For this example, I only have 3, so I could get either 1 resource, 2 resources, or 3 resources, but you can build an infinite amount of these, so I could do one for 20 resources, and all I'd have to do, so these count repeaters don't go up that high. So, like, for the number 9, I do one set to 3, triggering into another one set to 3, and that would total up to 9. So that's just a quick demo. So we'll just do for the number 1, you just got to make sure that this is just a button repeater because there's no counts, and then for the others, the count repeater is set to however many times you want it to trigger. So first switch is going to be off, the next switch is going to be on, then it's going to be leading into a power sensor that only is on power gained. Now you want to route the power gain sensor to this first delay, which is at 25 cycles, so a full cycle. And you also want the power sensor to be routing to the switch to turn it off. Finally, you want the power sensor to trigger your count repeater. And you want your power sensor to trigger button A. You want your power sensor to trigger button A. Count that, just put that little note in your brain. Then, the next bit is you have the 25 cycle delay repeater is going to trigger this next delay repeater at 5 cycles, and it will also trigger switch B. Switch B. Actually, you could have them leading into the same switch, but for this example, it's just easier to understand if it's A and B. But the system will work fine if you have them leading into the same switch. Also, one second. You want this switch right here to lead back right here. And the count repeater, you want the count repeater to lead back to this beginning switch. Now, to turn these on, for example, for 3, I have button 3, so I've designated this button as 3. It goes all the way over here, down, and it will activate this first switch on the 3. Then what you want to do is take the output of those switches and run them all the way over here to the pre-select and connect them both to the primary, power for the pre-select switch. Then you can make your kind of circle here. So you want to make sure that none of these can grab a different resource. I have like a thing on here to just make sure that they don't grab anything else. If you wanted to do snails, since you don't have multiple snails in your world, you could space them a little bit apart and do the same thing just without like a filter. But I don't know, it's not like it's detrimental to the system. Then you just simply want an auto arm that will pick it up, and then it will land here. Now you want a storage sensor that's either on empty or not empty. Make sure that. And that storage sensor will lead all the way over here. It will trigger this indicator light right here. And it will also trigger this button for the reset. And then we also want our emergency reset button. Like, let's say you accidentally pick up a resource and like you're super fast and it kind of breaks the system. You can just press that button for a reset, and everything will be a-okay. Now, some small notes are that there will be a video in the future discussing how to fix this problem and hopefully get rid of it. That is just a small bug. And this is completely tileable. You can do it as many times as you want. You can multi-select, and I think that's it. Also, check out the other Astroneer vending machine video, the version 1, because on that version I had a sorting system, so you can place back your sorting system or your resources that you've used. And that will work with this version too. Nothing really has changed about kind of the gathering of the resources. Thanks for watching my video, and here we are to the segment where I start talking about, well, I don't know, personal. So I haven't uploaded a video in a very long time. I think it's been 4 months now. I've been working on a lot of projects, mainly a calculator, but the calculator's been a little bit funky. Also, might I mention, this doesn't work anymore. Anywho, calculator's been funky. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.